A man who lives close to the Duchess of Sussex in Montecito, California, told the Daily Mail, quote, "I personally don't think that Meghan is
And ask Oprah about Harry and Meghan, but have you seen Harry with his ponytail biking Archie around? Just please tell me yes.
The hedges of Prince Harry and Meghan's estate down the road from him in Montecito. What have
If you look at the relationship overall,
Yeah.
in my opinion, allegedly, of course, we have to say that
Yep.
word in their sentence, but
Of course.
in the beginning, look at her demeanor in the beginning. She was so humbled, right?
Yep.
So appreciative to be in the position where she was at,
Yep.
and not overstepping her boundaries.
Picture this. Meghan Markle, the woman who famously walked away from the royal family claiming she wanted privacy, peace, and freedom, is now facing the possibility of being pushed out of her own $14 million Montecito mansion. And no, this has nothing to do with unpaid bills, loud parties, or zoning disputes. The alleged reason is far stranger, far more explosive, and far more ironic. According to multiple reports, Meghan is being accused by neighbors of spying on them using drones. Yes, drones. The same woman who once spoke emotionally about paparazzi drones hovering over her home is now allegedly doing the very thing she once condemned. And perhaps most unsettling of all? She's saying nothing. No interviews. No statements. No carefully curated rebuttals. Just silence. And if you know Meghan Markle, you know silence is never accidental. Something big is happening in Montecito, and it's unraveling fast. Residents living near the Sussex estate began noticing something unusual. Professional-grade drones hovering repeatedly over private properties. These weren't hobbyist toys bought online for fun. They were high-resolution, film-quality drones, the kind typically used in serious media production. And this wasn't a one-time sighting. Multiple neighbors reported the same pattern, drones appearing over pools, gardens, and private gatherings, lingering long enough to capture footage, then quietly disappearing, often flying back in the direction of the Sussex property. One of the most striking accounts came from actor Rob Lowe, who has lived in Montecito for decades. During a relaxed family barbecue by his pool, exactly the kind of private moment people move to Montecito to enjoy, he noticed a sleek drone hovering directly overhead, its camera clearly trained on him and his guests. When Lowe confronted nearby security staff, he was told they knew nothing about it. But he wasn't convinced. According to him, this wasn't an isolated incident. He had seen drones cross his property line multiple times, each time drifting back toward the Sussex estate. And Lowe wasn't alone. Other residents began sharing eerily similar experiences. Drones circling their homes. Cameras pointed downward. Private moments recorded without consent. These were people who paid enormous sums to live in one of California's most exclusive enclaves, specifically to avoid this exact kind of intrusion. But what made the situation even more disturbing was the alleged selectivity of the surveillance. Sources familiar with the complaints claim the drones weren't flying randomly. The apparent targets were high-profile celebrities, Gwyneth Paltrow, Tyler Perry, and other A-list residents whose candid footage could carry serious media value. The theory that quickly took hold was this: Meghan was allegedly attempting to capture behind-the-scenes content of Montecito's elite. Material that could be repurposed for Netflix projects, social media ventures, or future productions. Whether intended as documentary footage, leverage, or backup content, the operation appeared deliberate. FAA flight data reportedly showed more than 15 drone incidents in 2024 and 2025 tied to airspace surrounding the Sussex property, each one potentially violating federal regulations that strictly prohibit drones from entering private airspace without permission. Then investigators noticed something even more troubling. Some of the drones allegedly carried markings linked to production entities associated with Archewell, the Sussex's own media organization. That revelation changed everything. This wasn't paparazzi. This wasn't a rogue operator. According to neighbors and flight records, the surveillance was allegedly originating from the Sussex property itself. The irony is staggering. Back in 2020, Meghan and Harry were furious about paparazzi drones flying over their home. Meghan spoke openly about feeling violated, unsafe, and hunted. Harry framed the intrusion as deeply traumatic, linking it to the media pressure that surrounded his mother, Princess Diana. They positioned themselves as victims of invasive surveillance, champions of privacy, advocates for human dignity. And now, 5 years later, they stand accused of doing exactly the same thing to their own neighbors. This isn't just hypocrisy. It's a complete collapse of the image they built their entire post-royal identity upon. Social media erupted. Even former supporters began asking uncomfortable questions. How do you reconcile their outrage in 2020 with these allegations in 2025? How do you defend surveillance when you once called it abuse? And here's where the story turns even darker. According to insiders, this behavior wasn't driven by arrogance alone, it was driven by desperation. Behind the mansion, the security teams, and the designer lifestyle, Meghan and Harry's financial situation was quietly deteriorating. On paper, a combined net worth of $60 million sounds secure. But maintaining a $14 million estate, private security, luxury travel, staff, and constant public visibility burns through cash at an alarming rate. Hollywood insiders now whisper that the Sussexes are running out of money. The Netflix deal, once touted as a $100 million jackpot, reportedly delivered closer to $20 million, spread over several years, and it's set to expire with no renewal in sight. Spotify already walked away, frustrated by lack of output. Meghan's podcast flopped. Her children's book underperformed. Harry's memoir generated a one-time surge, but that income can't sustain a lifestyle forever. Archewell has struggled to attract major donors. Even Harry's inheritance and remaining UK funds can't offset the burn rate indefinitely. And when money dries up, ethics often follow. Suddenly, the alleged drone operation begins to make sense, not morally, but strategically. Meghan needed content. Something valuable. Something sellable. Anything that could revive stalled deals or attract new ones. As financial pressure mounted, neighbors say Meghan's behavior became increasingly aggressive. Complaints about security lights shining into homes were met not with cooperation, but threats. Road closures during filming disrupted families, blocked children from getting to school, and were brushed off with cold indifference. One story struck a particularly emotional chord. An 88-year-old military veteran living nearby attempted to welcome the couple with historical films about the area. He was turned away at the gate rudely, according to his account, leaving him humiliated. For many residents, that moment symbolized everything wrong with how the Sussexes treated their community. The pattern felt familiar. Former palace staff once accused Meghan of bullying, sending aggressive emails late at night, reducing staff to tears, creating a toxic environment. At the time, those claims were dismissed as smears. But now, American neighbors were describing the same behaviors. Different setting. Same pattern. Harry, sources say, has been largely absent, either enabling the behavior through silence or powerless to stop it. The breaking point came when Rob Lowe spoke publicly in mid-2025. Without naming names, he described royal neighbors causing unprecedented disruption. His credibility opened the floodgates. Other residents followed. 24 signatures were gathered, a remarkable number in a community where discretion is everything. Local authorities got involved. The FAA began investigating. Santa Barbara officials were forced to act. And still, nothing from Meghan and Harry. No statements. No interviews. No crisis management spin. Even Oprah Winfrey, once their most powerful ally, has remained silent. So has Ellen DeGeneres. When celebrities of that magnitude won't defend you, the damage is already done. Paparazzi photos from this period show Harry alone, withdrawn, isolated, visibly unhappy. Gone are the united appearances. Gone is the confident front. Insiders say Harry is stunned, trapped, torn between loyalty to Meghan and the realization that their actions have consequences he never anticipated. Whispers of serious marital strain grow louder by the day. Their silence, so uncharacteristic, speaks volumes. This is a couple that built their entire post-royal existence on controlling the narrative. Yet now, They've lost control completely. Every day they remain quiet, their reputation erodes further. Their brand is now defined entirely by accusations. So what happens next? Malibu? Europe? Total isolation in Montana or Wyoming? Each option carries enormous cost, financially, socially, and psychologically. And the most troubling question of all isn't where they'll go, but whether they'll go together. The American dream they sold the world is over. The reinvention has failed. And when the moving trucks finally arrive, there will be no Oprah interview to soften the blow. Just silence. And that silence may be the loudest statement of all. What do you think happens next?